beautiful peaches of the world. I am back with another video. As you see, this one is a lot different from how I usually film. That's because I kind of wanted to make it look like alive rather than some edited film, I guess, because it's about to get real personal. But so I was on YouTube the other day scrolling through, and I saw this Asian American tag that a YouTuber did named Faye, and I was inspired to make one myself, technically because she tagged everyone that watched it. So I mean, technically I was tagged by her. So this is just my video to talk about it. Anyway, so let's get started. Which ethnicity are you? I am Vietnamese, not fully Vietnamese, but my family does not acknowledge the Chinese counterpart just because my dad's racist. And since my grandma was technically Chinese Vietnamese, as in she's Chinese, but she lived in Vietnam her entire life, she was considered Vietnamese, and that's why we never talk about that part. But I am definitely Vietnamese and Chinese. Which generation are you? I don't know. I don't understand this question. I'm assuming this means which generation of Asian American are you? And then so my answer is first generation. I believe I am the first one to be born in America in this family, so that means I'm first generation. What is the first experience where you felt that demarcation of being a minority / different? So growing up, I lived in a very diverse community, which meant that I didn't experience it, because if you didn't know, Nguyen is a really popular last name for Vietnamese people. So I didn't feel that different because there was enough wins to fill up one full page in the yearbook. So but it wasn't up until college where I felt different, because in college, even though it's diverse, my program only had a few Asians, and I believe there was only one other Vietnamese person at the time for my class, and she was half white and half Vietnamese. So I mean, it didn't make me feel different until my professor, who had some animosity towards Vietnamese people due to the Vietnam War, was constantly calling me out when he was talking about diversity and controlling how you react to people. And by him doing that, it made me feel different, and I didn't feel comfortable with it, but he always used it, and being the type of person I am, I did not speak up to him about it because I wasn't comfortable with it. But that was my first experience. Was I always proud of my heritage, or was there a time when I rejected it? There were many times when I rejected it, actually, because I was someone who was into other cultures rather than mine, mostly because I hated the way I looked. I didn't like what I saw, and I wanted to be someone else, anyone else. So I went through phases like Japanese, like getting into Japanese. At some point, I even wore really questionable fashion because I was into Japanese things. And then there was the Taiwanese, where I would constantly write Chinese letters that I knew, and it was basically "I love you," like all over my binders and notebooks. And then there was Korean, which I had a really long phase of being a Korean boo, but now I'm not like that. So I definitely rejected it for a really long time wasn't until I was in my last few years of high school that I learned to accept who I am and just be proud that I'm Vietnamese and this is my culture. So the next question is, what are some stereotypes that you struggle with? So like I said, I lived in a diverse community, which meant that I didn't face these stereotypes. There were just the usual ones, like the ching chong, oh, do you eat dogs? Which I hate that stereotype. Not all of us eat dogs. And honestly, some cultures eat dogs too, not just Asians. So you guys need to stop that. But the main stereotype, like I said, I experienced the being minority different thing once I entered college. So the stereotype that I struggled with was that Asians are smart. And let me tell you, I'm not very school smart. I really suck at taking tests. I have a really short attention span, so school comes pretty hard to me. And so in the end, my GPA wasn't that great. And it met the borderline minimum GPA requirement, but I feel like at the time it wasn't good enough. And that was a stereotype that bothered me because she just told me just the wrong thing that wasn't me. Yeah, so next question is, can you speak your language? And yes, I can speak my language. I can read, write, and speak it. I can definitely read it fine. It takes me a little while to read, because I read like at a kindergarten level for Vietnamese, because I have to sound everything out, and then sometimes I don't even understand it, which I should definitely practice that. But yeah, for writing, I can definitely write it. It takes me a while to formulate how to write it. Sometimes I still mess up anyways, but it's fine. I will work on improving it. And for speaking my language, I was better 10 years ago, definitely. But now it's very broken, and I tend to speak English within my Vietnamese, which my parents aren't bothered by it anymore. But back then, it was against the rules for me to speak English. I would definitely get punished if I said okay instead of yeah, or just speaking in English in general. I would be put in the corner or get spanked. So now that my parents are older, they kind of just dropped it all together, mostly because all of their grandkids have grown up not speaking Vietnamese, and they speak English more. So that's why they kind of just dropped that rule entirely. So I guess because of that, my Vietnamese has gotten worse, and definitely it has to do with my memory because I have severe depression. It's a side effect of having depression, and basically I can't remember a lot of things. A lot of times I even forget what I did 3 days ago, so my memory is really bad. And since I use English more, it's better for me to use English than Vietnamese, so I usually replace my Vietnamese words that I like momentarily forget and use English instead, and that became a habit. And so my Vietnamese isn't that great as it used to be. Okay, so how has being Asian American affected your relationship with your parents? All right, so this one is a bit touchy. So being Asian American meant that I was exposed to more diversity, more views, and I wasn't as ignorant as my parents were closed-minded, because they're very traditional conservative people. So that means they're usually racist, or they think the woman should be in the kitchen, or women shouldn't work. It was very difficult to communicate with them. I want to call them out on it, and that in itself built a wall, because in our, I guess, I don't know if it's in our culture, but it's definitely in our views, because I see it in everyone older, except for my aunts and uncle, because they've assimilated into the society and became more open-minded. But they definitely have this view that we should respect our parents and we should listen to them regardless if they're wrong or not. But I'm not that type of person. I definitely have learned to speak up when I notice that people are saying the wrong views, only if I'm comfortable with them. I am definitely way too anxious to be able to talk about this to strangers, obviously. And the reason why I can do this right now, because there's no one in front of me and I'm just talking to myself, and that's fine. I'm fine like that. But if I do it with someone else, it's, yeah. Okay, I got off in a tangent. I'm sorry. So basically, when I stood up to them, they found that disrespectful and they didn't like it. And so they're very cautious around me because they don't want to say the wrong thing and then have us fight. I don't know if that's the reason why, but they definitely don't express their views that much anymore because I keep calling them out on it. And I guess when someone nags you so much, it gets tiring and you don't want to deal with it, so you just stay quiet. And then another thing is, there has been this uprising of people being vocal about their mental health. And so I was inspired. I guess not inspired, but I was in a really bad time in my life where I kind of just shut off in front of everyone. And at some point I just blew up because I was keeping it all to myself, and it was really tiring. Hold on, she's chewing up stuff. Sorry about that. So basically, my parents, they have a really negative view on mental health. So basically, when I went off and I like just broke down in front of them, they blamed me. They didn't support me, they didn't hold me, and I guess that put up a wall between us, because, I mean, an even thicker wall, because now I feel like I can't lean on them, and they're not who I can rely on. So our relationship is very on the surface, is not very close. We don't talk about our feelings. We just kind of go about our lives. And that's how it affected my relationship with my parents. We're just very different people. We can't always get along, and that's why we just keep everything on the surface. So how do you feel about your heritage now? Do you identify with it? And I am proud of it. I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of. I'm happy that I'm part of this community. It's a beautiful community with a beautiful culture, as far as I know. I am not sure if there was more, but I am educated on our traditions, and I don't know about beliefs because I feel like that's based on the person itself. So yeah, as far as what I know, I am okay with it, and I do identify with being Vietnamese, and I am proud to tell you that I am Vietnamese. And lastly, what is your favorite thing about being Asian American? So Asian American, it's great because I get to experience this entire culture, and it's amazing. So that was the Asian American tag. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like this style of video. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, please follow me on Instagram. Give it a thumbs up. if you enjoyed it, and please click to subscribe for more content in the future. Bye, and I'll see you next time.